Shalom, Israel, Shalom. This brother Raya want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Bahashim Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Another strong Shalom to all of the mighty brothers that go out there and labor on the highways and byways, making their body a living sacrifice. In the rain, the tumults, the demons, the uprisings, the uproars, they're out there standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong Shalom to all of the mighty brothers that are not out there as of yet, but they're building themselves up, reading, praying, fasting, right? Being diligent, doing everything they can do to put themselves in a position to shake the hand, to wake up the hopeful elect. Another strong shalom to all that are mighty aquaf in this thing, that actually reverence their husbands, being teachers of good things to the children at home, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving, steadfast, cooking, sewing, cleaning, doing all of the righteous acts of our foremothers on fire for the Lord. Another strong shalom to all that are mighty aquaf that are not married as of yet, but they're building themselves up, reading, praying, fasting, being shamefaced, doing everything they can do to help out the ministry. Another strong shalom to all that are mighty children in this thing, right? Zealous, on fire, doing everything they can do to magnify the name of the Lord, abstaining from all lust, concupiscence, and peer pressure. Another strong shalom to all of the 12 tribes scattered abroad, reading, praying, fasting, making their body live a sacrifice in the last days. Right? This is going to be an in-depth breakdown. It's going to be multiple parts, most I willing. Will be a part 1, maybe part 2, part 3. It's all predicated off of the spirit of the Most High and how we dive into this through the spirit. Right? We're going to be touching on how to survive in Jacob's trouble, how to be able to move, what to do, how to understand the times and the signs of the sky, the animals, right? I mean, this is an in-depth breakdown. You have to visually get yourself mentally prepared for the things that are going to be coming on the earth. Right, and I'm going to share my screen through the spirit. Right, now let me know if you can see it. Just give me a mighty con. Right, and we're going to dive straight into this. So I know a lot of brothers, they may be thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to survive? Should I get a bug out bag? Right, they actually have bug out bags. Should I stock up on flashlights? Should I stock up on batteries? Should I stock up on blankets, camping gear, food, right? Shelter, bunkers, accessories, lighters, right? Weapons, or whatever the case may be. Their mind is thinking about, how am I going to survive in these days? But oftentimes, Jake does one thing. They act frantic. They act worried, and they don't rely and put their trust in the Most High. And the precepts are going to explain everything. This book is given it to us not only to get everlasting life, but it's for counsel, direction, prophecy, how to deal with your marriage, how to deal with your brother, laws on cleanliness, uncleanness, how to move about the camp, how to go to war. This book is going to tell you and teach you all there is to know how to be a mighty man of God and how to be a mighty woman of the Lord, man. Right? Let me get this quick precept in Jeremiah. Because your mind can't be in this world. Right? It's the mighty book of Jeremiah, chapter 45. And I'm going to start right at verse number 3. It says, "Thou didst say, woe is me. Now, for the Lord hath added grief to my sorrow. I fainted in my sighing, and I find no rest." You may feel like you find no rest as you're a pilgrim on the earth. You feel like, there's no rest, and feeling like the Most High is with me. I'm always getting chased. I'm always hunted. I'm always hungry. I don't know what to do in this land of my captivity. Thus saith Slakia, thus say thou, saying to them, the Lord say thus, behold, that which I have built, I will break down, and that which I have planted, I will pluck up, even this whole land. When the Lord started to break down this land, he's not just going to leave one store, man. He's not going to leave Marshall's for you. Or he's not going to leave Ross. Right? When the Lord starts breaking down this place, it's not going to be the Whole Foods left. This Lord planted this land through the Spirit for a season, but when he uproots it, everything in this land is going with it. And this whole land, this whole earth will literally become a wilderness. Trees will grow over from the fields into the lands, crossing paths. Streets will buckle up with grass and thorns and bribers. And different diverse beasts of the earth will change their habitations and start to migrate where there's water and where there's food. It says, and seest thou great things for thyself. Right? So you don't need to seek great things for yourself. A lot of people may be thinking about their aspirations in America, thinking about 50 years from now, 100 years from now. Don't have your mind thinking great things for yourself. Seek them not. That don't mean you don't survive in captivity. You may be in school, or you may be trying to get a promotion at job. You don't want to be a fool, right, and be ignorant. You want to be able to survive, right, and be able to move up in the society if will be, to take care of your family. But as far as your heart and your mind being tied into the elements and the spirit of this world, seek them not. For behold, I will bring evil upon all flesh. So Jacob's trouble is just not going to be in America. It's Jacob's trouble. And that trouble is what Jacob is going to have to go through throughout the four corners of the earth. I will bring evil upon all flesh, saith the Lord, but thy life will I give unto thee for a prey in all places whither thou goest. Right? So the Lord, he could hunt your steps, right? Via pestilence, right? Via a wild beast, via the sword. Right? So don't think that this thing is going to be easy once we set our foot and become pilgrims on the earth, man. Right, let me get this quick precept. It's Jeremiah, right, chapter 15, right, and I'm going to start at verse number 2. It says, and it shall come to pass, if they say unto thee, whether shall we go forth? Then thou shalt tell them, thus saith the Lord, such as for death to death. Meaning when you're a pilgrim and you're on the run, now this is Jeremiah in the Babylonian captivity, but nevertheless, these scriptures are twofold. Where are you going to go? Where can you see rest and refuge, man? It's only one place. And that's under the wings of the Heavenly Father, like it says in the book of Psalms, chapter 91, under his refuge and protection. It says, then thou shalt tell them, thus saith the Lord, such as for death, man. Meaning if you're appointed unto death by the wicked things you've did right now, you have a season to be put to death. And the Lord is going to have that to come forth. And such as for the sword, to the sword. And such as for famine to famine, and such as are for the captivity to captivity. Meaning the Lord is going to, for lack of better terms, hunt out those spirits and those souls, and those men are going to be what? Destroyed in the days to come. And I will appoint over them 4 kinds, saith the Lord. The sword to slay, meaning Esau is going to hunt your steps, guillotines, different camps, right? All of these different military tanks are going to be throughout the streets in martial law. Martial law is going to kick off. It's going to be a civil war where the nation is going to wage war against the civilians of the land, and all hell is going to break loose either with their program or not. Whether they're putting different guns to your head, of thermometers checking your temperatures, whether you have a wristband, whether you have a chip, whether you don't have a chip, or whatever they implement in this society, or whether physical, spiritual, mental, right, to get down and lay down for the inhabitants thereof, you're going to have to either lay down and accept it or flee and be classified as a rebel, right? Classified as an enemy of the state. And the dogs to tear, meaning they're wild beasts in the earth. Don't just think it's the neighborhood pit bull, man. It's not talking about that necessarily. You have all type of coyotes, Krugers, mountain lions, all terrible beasts the Heavenly Father has created, not to just stay in their habitations forever, but to come out for a season and a time through vengeance, right, and war. It says, and the fowls of heaven and the beasts of the earth to devour and destroy. So these things are for what? Destruction. Right, let me get this quick precept in the book of 2nd Esdras. This 2nd Esdras chapter 15 and verse number 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. So in the days to come, right, I used to go over Miss Johnson's house to borrow sugar, man. Right, I used to go over there, borrow some Kool-Aid, some syrup. Right, she used to watch your kids. When they locked their key out, they didn't have a key, whatever the case may be, to get home from work. Right, Sister Johnson, brother, damn, whatever the case may be, it's going to be all hell breaking loose. And no man is going to have pity upon his neighbor anymore. When somebody trips and falls in the society, they help them up. Are you okay? Right? Do you need me to call the ambulance? Do you need a first aid kit? They're quick to so-called help you, whip out a camera phone or do something in the society. But when the days to come, you're going to be trampled underfoot, broken bones. There's not going to be any ambulance. Nothing is going to save you if you're not protected by the Lord, but shall destroy their houses. So look at your house right now with that lock on it. And all the protection you think you have are those iron bars or whatever the case may be, people gonna be sticking their hand through there, breaking in. Whether they coming through the chimney, coming through the attic, breaking down the back door, right? People are gonna enter into your house to spoil you your goods. Why? Because there's gonna be no food on the earth. There's gonna be no place to lodge. It says, with their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Imagine an earth in a world where there's no police, there's no protection. Now the police, they kill us all the day long, but nevertheless, out of their wickedness, they do somewhat of a service, right? That's why they exist, so they say, right? And that service is to protect, right? Whether that's getting them to the ambulance, helping and guarding, pushing, blocking off streets. There's going to be no type of protection in the last days. All right, let me get this real fast. Right, it's going to be a damn war and chaos in the streets, man. It's going to be nothing but dead bodies trampled over one another and everybody ravishing to get the food, to get the shelter, to get to some type of sense of safety, to grab guns, right? Any way they can. It says for the great tribulation. So great tribulation is coming upon the earth. And as it comes on the earth, you have to understand that you have to get your spirit right with the Most High. If your spirit's not right with the Most High, you're going to be left, right, to be destroyed. It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 16 and 40. And it reads, it says, O my people, hear my word, make ye ready to the battle. And those evils be even as pilgrims upon the earth. And when you're a pilgrim, you're changing your habitation. Maybe in New York, then you travel to DC. Then you travel to Florida, right? You may travel all the way to Alabama, Mississippi. You may go all the way to Seattle. You're on the move for shelter, goods, right? Wherever the Most High is taking you through the spirit. You got all of these end of the world movies, World War Z, right? Last One on Earth, whatever it's called, and Book of Eli. They got this new movie called Civil War, right? All of these movies, right? I Am Legend. They're letting you know before it happens what's going to kick off on the earth. They got subliminals in The Simpsons, right? They're showing these things on the news. There's all on Twitter. The whistleblowers are letting you know that all hell was about to break loose. So the Lord is letting you know through the signs, right? Whether it be war on earth physically, the news reporters, the anchors, the whistleblowers, and the wild beasts. You have to learn from the beast of the earth as well. Now, let me get this quick precept. And that's what we're going to dive into tonight. How to survive in the wilderness, dietary law, what to eat, what not to eat, and how to really be able to sustain yourself in the days to come. It's very important. Right? You want to go into 2nd Esdras, but you also want to have a logic understanding of how to survive. Because all of our fathers knew how to survive. They didn't just walk around knowing the law, but didn't know how to break down the law and know the understanding of the law. The Lord said, with all thy getting, get understanding. And you can read all day and have a sense of what it's saying, but do you truly understand what the Lord is saying? Let me get this quick precept. It's the book of Job, chapter 12 and verse 7. But ask now the beast, and they shall teach thee. What can the beast teach you? That it's about the rain, right? The beast can show you, when somebody's approaching the house, when somebody's far away, when somebody has an aggressive spirit, when somebody's temperate, when somebody's afraid, right? The beast can show you a lot of things, man. Storms, directions, right? The beast of the earth, they can teach you what to eat, what not to eat. It can kill you. That may teach you something through the spirit, right? Whatever the case may be, how to survive, how to build shelters, right? Go into caves. These beasts of the earth, they can teach you. And the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee. And they're going to tell you a lot of the things, right, that man should be paying attention to. Right, let's go to the mighty book of Deuteronomy, right? Chapter 14. Let's dive straight into it. Let's start at verse number 20. Right? It says, but of all clean fowls ye may eat. So you have clean fowls and you have unclean fowls. This is nothing new. Even from the time, right, of Noah. Let me get this quick precept. So you got to be able to identify what are the clean fowls and what are not clean fowls. This is the book of Genesis chapter 7 verse 2. Of every clean beast thou shalt take, right, to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of the beasts that are not clean by twos, and male and his female. So you have clean animals and unclean animals. Don't let nobody trick you in thinking that you can eat anything now, right, on earth, like the dietary law, and the law does not last forever. They're sadly mistaken and leading a lot of people astray by the misunderstanding of Paul's letters. You have clean animals, you have unclean animals. You have clean fowls, you have unclean fowls, right? Now we're going to dive into the fowls that ye may eat and the fowls that ye may not eat. Right, let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the book of Leviticus, chapter 11. Right, it's the mighty book of Leviticus, chapter 11, and I'm going to start at verse 13. And these are they which ye shall have an abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination, the eagle. So these animals that we're about to read, they have all attributes and similar things, right? Whether how they look, how they digest their food, right? Their physical characteristics that are going to cipher and severance them from the clean fowls that we're about to go into as well. Now the eagle, let me break this down, right? Now let me zoom into this a little bit more so you can see it. I'm gonna read this, right? It says, from the list of unclean birds, 6 characteristics have been identified as separating the clean birds from the unclean birds. A clean bird has a craw or crop. So looking at the characteristics of these fowls, you have to be able to identify them. Now, no man is going to know every single species. Okay, that's that, and that's that. That's that, that's that. You have a pelican, you have a swan, you have a duck. Right, you have all of these different creatures, right? But they're all similar in the same family. But you have to know that through the spirit by identifying the characteristics, what classifies them together as a family. Or the quail, the chicken, the turkey, right? Or the songbird, right? The pigeon and the dove, and classifying, ciphering these birds in their different categories by the similarities and the structures of their bodies. It says a clean bird has a craw or a crop, right? Now let's dive into what that actually is. Shalaki, bear with me. I'm gonna move all of this over. All right, we're gonna dive into this. This is a bird's crop. Now, a lot of birds have crops. Some birds don't have crops. But that's one of the attributes diving into, right, a clean animal is their crop. How would you identify? When you start to open up the animal. Right, a lot of the priests, they didn't just do things. They had to literally inspect the animal. They had to take the animal, move this, make sure that it's all healthy, doesn't have any broken bones. It was a male or a female. You have to inspect these animals. Don't just think that it's going to be easy. You put all your faith, right, in one basket with no works, and the Most High is going to have all of these follow deer, man. Just fall dead right in front of you. Which, if you would have known, you can't eat that already, right? So certain things you have to know by the law to be able to say, you know what, I can eat this, I can't eat this. It says a crop, right, and a gizzard. So a crop is one of the characteristics of this animal. It says a clean bird has a gizzard with a double lining, which can easily be separated. A clean bird is not a bird of prey. That's one of your main attributes of a clean bird and an unclean bird. Because unclean birds, they tend to fly 7 times higher than the other clean birds. They're tending to see all things because they're a predator. And they're at the top of the food chain. Right? Let me get this quick precept. The Lord said there is a fowl, so like a path which no fowl knoweth. Right in the book of Job, chapter 28. Meaning that fowl is going to see all things because it's going to go so high up that's going to be able to see all of the land. Right? This is the book of Job, chapter 28, verse 7. There is a path which no fowl knoweth. Meaning what? That path is the path to wisdom. Meaning out of all of these animals, the lion which treadeth down the jungle and the Amazon and all of these different diverse places, he can go anywhere. The fowl of the air, he can see anything. He can go on the top of the Empire State Building, the top of the highest cedar tree, right? You can go all the way in the top where the clouds are. So he can see all paths and understand the places where the diverse species and different animals and prey are lot. There is a path which no fowl knoweth, and which the vulture's eye have not seen. Meaning it's basically saying that that eye has seen all things, man. The vulture sees all things because it's high up. So a clean bird, right, is not going to be a bird of prey. Meaning they're going to be an animal that eats their food on the ground. While you have unclean birds, they take their food and they take it back to their nest or they take off with it. It says a clean bird does not devour food while flying. Meaning what? Clean birds, they eat seeds, fruit, right? Nuts, berries, right? They tend to eat things that are already on the ground and they eat while they're on the ground, while other birds, they eat right in a high place, high up. A clean bird's hen toe and middle toe, so like in middle front toe, are both elongated. That's another one that you have to look at. So as you're inspecting these animals and looking into them, you have to be like, you know what? What does the toes look like? What's the hind toe and the middle toe? The same way you got the split hoof, right? You got a toe physically that may be split, or you may have some type of animal like an elephant, or you have to be able to look at the toes, the feet, and decipher betwixt, you know, is this clean or unclean? There's going to be a lot of animals like the pig that may have attributes of a clean animal, but really are unclean. And there are many types of pigs. And the pig is not just the pink pig, man. You got the boar. You got many type of pigs, man. Right? It says the clean bird's hen toe and middle front toe are both elongated. What does that mean? Right, let's dive into it. So going into toes of these creatures, predominantly is saying that the elongated part, you're going to be able to notice. This elongated means to be long and stretched out. Meaning that middle toe, as you look at it, a lot of these creatures, like a chicken, a turkey, a quail, their toe, that middle toe is going to be longer than the rest of those toes. So if you're kind of looking and you're saying, well, what the hell is that? I've never seen that before. You're kind of looking, right? You may try to check for the crop, check for the gizzard, try to see that long toe and it having attributes, because all of the chicken, the quail, the turkey, and all of these different birds, they all have the same type of feet. While all of the predator birds have the same type of feet as well. So you have that elongated part, right? Now, let me get this real fast. Now, these are the attributes. The brothers can see this. Let me see if I could click on and make it larger. Of a predator's toes. Now, as a predator, as you can look and see, a lot of their toes are damn near the same size. They're big, and it's used to claw. It's used to grab. It's not used to be on the ground, man. Getting them seeds up, getting that fruit, or getting those clean things and vegetation, right, and roots, or whatever the case may be, and berries that the Heavenly Father has put for the clean fowls of the air. Now, they're pretty much similar as the same size. When you go into the offspring, which you cannot eat, right, the kine, the vulture, the eagle, they all have toes, right, that are similar to like a clawing position, not a stretch forth like this. They're more in a claw position, and they're more in line, kind of equal to the rest of their toes. More like unto a chicken or a turkey, you kind of see the difference, right? So let me dive into this again. Check this out. the buzzard, the north, right, goshawk, right, the short-toed eagle. Let me go back to it. It says, when a clean bird stands on a parch, it spreadeth its toes, that 3 front ones are on the side, right? When you actually going into this, right? Of the parch and the hen toe and the opposite side, right? Salaki. Kind of Salaki. Diving right back into it. It says, it spreads its toes so that 3 front ones are on one side of the parch and the hen toe on the opposite side. All unclean birds lack at least one of these 6 characteristics. So we're looking at these characteristics of these animals, right? Let me get this quick precept through the spirit. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28. It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, and I'm going to start at 26. And thy carcasses shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. Right? So these type of unclean creatures, they're made to be what? To cleanse the earth, like a pig, like a roach, like mice. Right? They'll eat out your eyes, they'll eat your flesh. Right? They'll circle around you and they'll wait for the opportune time to be able to dive in to kill you. Right? Let me get the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 15. It's the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 15, and verse number 33. It says, and when he had cut out the tongue of that ungodly Nicanor, he commanded that they should give it by pieces unto the fowls, and hang up the reward of his madness before the temple. So those unclean animals, they're going to thrive off of unclean foods. So you have to watch these animals' diets, the things that they like, the things that they don't like. Let's go back to the book, right? Of Leviticus. You have the eagle, the osprey. And a lot of these animals, when you look at how they're portrayed with their chest poked out. If you can see the stance of these animals, these fowls, their chest is always protruded in a very proud manner, like this. Just like any animal that's a hunter or any animal that proclaims its dominance, you know, like a lion, like these type of animals, they got a lot of pride with them. And they always stand or are positioned a certain way. And they're different species of this same animal. So you got to kind of really look. And another attribute is that the beak tends to go over in a down position when they're unclean. Whether you may have a chicken or something, even though the beak goes down, it's more of a curve than a nosedive. But I had that pulled up as well. I kind of wanted to touch on that. But that's an offspring. You have the offspring. So like, you're going to get it. Right? And the offspring, same animal, right? Check that out. They're always high up, looking down on their prey. You got the vulture and the kite. Let's look at the vulture. The kite and the kind. Let's get a visual. And check out that beak, like I said. And that beak is to pull out that meat. Always in a hunch position like they're about to nosedive. And they're chiefly bigger than the other fowls, right? The kite, the raven. These are all bloodthirsty hunting animals. A lot of people may think this is clean when you look at it, but it's really not. It's like a hawk, a smaller version of a hawk. And if you can see that beak, like I was going into, that sharp position of it pointing down, it could kill an animal like that, straight up slit his throat. Right? The raven, right? No brothers know what the raven look like. An owl, right? The nighthawk, the cuckoo, right? The hawk after its kind, the little owl, the cormorant, the great owl, and the swan and the pelican, right? And the swan is in a family of ducks. I know a lot of people say you can eat ducks. That's in the truth. That's not true. You got to refrain yourself from the family of the swans. They are unclean animals. And like I said, they all have a different species when you look at them. They're not all the same. Some may look one way, some may look another. Like you have the Asiatic lion, you have the African lion, right? You have different types of lions that are in different parts of Africa, in different parts, of the world, in their different climates. It's not just one lion. Right? Diving into it. Got the stork, the heron, the kine, right? The lapwing, the bat. All fowls that creep upon all fours shall be an abomination unto you. So the Lord is telling you what's clean and what's unclean. But then you have other birds. Now I want to dive into other birds. And I check this out. You have what they call a songbird, which are birds, that chirp and sing. Now I want to look at this real fast. Now, in diving in, looking at this right here, this might be a good picture. This is a good picture. Looking at the different types of feet, you got to say within yourself, okay, what could I eat? Well, this right here, I can't eat. Let me zoom back in. It's webbed. Even though it has an elongated toe, it still's webbed, right? And it's a duck, which is going back to what? A swan. This right here has claws which grab out. Even though the toe is elongated, nevertheless, they're all pretty much the same size. I know that this is a hunting predator type of bird. You have the chicken, an elongated toe and a little toe that's going without. You could kind of say, okay, well, you know what? It's pretty much around that clean type of spirit that you want to dive into. And I want to get this real fast too. A dove's feet, if they show them. Check that out. A dove. Look just like a songbird, look just like a pigeon, look just like a chicken, look just like a turkey. They all have the similar attributes of one another when you're diving into it. You don't always have to eat chicken. There's never been an unclean animal that was sacrificed on the altar. So even as you go into the Levitical priesthood, about the turtle dove and the pigeon and the different birds that the Most High has used, even his favorite bird, which is the dove, there's never been an unclean animal that's been sacrificed on the altar, unless the so-called white man have done it in the Greek Empire. So check this out. And this is for Israel to get a visual. Because we need to be, we're visual people, we're visual learners. You see that long scroll telling you how to make, how to build up your dresser. Right? Then you can watch a tutorial video. Then you can build your dresser in no time. You can build it in a half the time. All right? Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the mighty book of Nehemiah. All right, it's the book of Nehemiah, chapter 5, and verse number 18. And it reads, "Now that which was prepared for me daily was 1 oxen and 6 choice sheep. Also fowls were prepared for me." So fowls were prepared for the governor, right? Nehemiah and the chief rulers, they had the fowls prepared for them. And you have many fowls. It's not just one fowl that you eat, man, all the time. And that's all you get to eat is that one fowl. There are many fowls. Now, when the scriptures talk about, I'm going to get this quick precept real fast. I'm going to drop this, and I'm going to go to Ecclesiastes. Because the Lord talks about a snare in the scriptures and parabolically puts it next to a fowl. Well, let me get that real fast. It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9, and I'm going to start at verse 12. It says, "For man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net." Why are fishes taken in an evil net? To eat. You're not just putting that net in the water for the hell of it. Let me see what I could get myself into today. And you just start scooping around, man. Now you put that net in there and you scoop out that fish, man. Just like they were doing in the book of Luke, the 5th chapter, man. Casting thy net on the right side. It says, "And as the birds that are caught in the snare, so are the sons of men snared in the evil time when it suddenly come upon them." So in the ancient world, they caught birds with a snare. What is a snare? Let's get a visual. All right, let me start deleting some of these so we can have a little bit more space through the spirit. This is a snare. And they would catch birds by putting seeds down, berries, nuts, acorns, and all type of thing to get these type of birds. You don't really put a snare somewhere high up in the damn tree somewhere, man. Somewhere super high up in the clouds. You kind of put it down for these type of animals, these songbirds, these pigeons, these doves, these quails, these turkeys, these chickens, these different diverse birds that tend to walk, you understand, upon the ground, that they may eat their seeds and mind their business. And they're caught in a snare. Who's putting down the snares? Hunters are putting down the snares. Nets and different things that catch these birds that they may eat them. And they all have the same type of positioning in a crop, a gizzard, elongated toe, a beak that's not crumpled over in a nosedive position, right? They're all moving in that same clean spirit. Just like you have those clean animals, right? You got the elk, the bovideer, right? The roebuck, the venison, the bison, right? On all of these clean animals, the cow, right? Check that out. This is a perfect picture right here, man. Professional bird trap for chickens, peasants. Well, we can't eat wild ducks, but wild duck, right? Because why? What are you going to do with all these things? You're going to eat them. You're going to eat the turkey. So that's how you can catch the parallel that the Lord is saying by a net and an evil. It's like a net being cast, right, in a snare for a bird. They catch these animals so that you may eat them. Let me get this quick precept in the book of Genesis, right? It's the book of Genesis, chapter 15. I'm going to start at 9. And he said unto him, take me an heifer of 3 years old, right? And a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. So when the Lord is doing a sacrifice, it's a righteous sacrifice for Abraham. And all of these different animals, they have a spirit behind them, right? Whether the she-goat, whether the ram, whether the heifer, whether the turtle dove, they all represent a part of a sacrifice that in a covenant which Abraham is entering into. So you have clean animals, clean birds, and unclean birds. When you go to Leviticus, the first chapter, go to Leviticus, right? Chapter 1, and let's start at verse 14. If the burnt sacrifice of his offering to the Lord be of fowls, then he shall bring his offering of turtle doves or of young pigeons, right? Not of owls, or not of these different creatures. So it has to have these attributes, and you got to know how to hunt them, right? Whether you have a bow and arrow, or whether you put down and lay down a snare, right? A lot of brothers may not think about snares. And the so-called Native Americans and different hunters, they would lay down traps, and when they wake up, they would eat, man. So don't even think like the saying goes in the world, you want to work, what they say, don't work hard, work smart, not hard. That's what I mean. And don't be up running all day, man. Just set up your snares, know where they be at, watch from afar, right? Know how to navigate through the night, know how to move, know how to identify, know what to look for, know where they hang out, know what they like to eat. Because don't Esau do that, man? They stalk you. They know what you like, going to the club, getting high, getting drunk. So they put all of the CBD oil, all of the K2, all the tobacco, and all of your store. They know what you like. They know what you want. They know what's going to sift you away. Just like you got to know what these birds like. You got to study them like the Lord said. You got to let them teach you. Right? Through the Spirit. Diving into all of these things. And you can't be afraid either. I'm going to put that out there. A lot of brothers, I don't know, man. I don't think I can do this. Well, that's up to the Most High to teach you and show you. You may stumble across a brother in Jacob's trouble that's highly equipped to dive into all type of things. And the Lord put that man to guide you and help you. While you remember the precepts, he's carnally in the wisdom of this world to be able to navigate, to have understanding. You're going to have certain men that know how to do both. Right? This is the book of Isaiah chapter 41 and 17. When the poor and needy seek water and there is none, and their tongue faileth for thirst, I, the Lord, will hear them, and I, Slakia, and I, the God of Israel, will not forsake them. I will open rivers in high places. Meaning the Lord is going to make a way to feed you and to make sure that you have the things you need in times to come. And fountains in the midst of valleys, and I will make the wilderness a pool of water, and the dry land springs of water. I will plant in the wilderness the cedar and the shittah tree and the myrtle and the oil tree, and I will set in the desert the fig tree and the pine and the box tree together. So the Lord's going to feed his servants. He's not going to suffer the righteous to be able to famish. You read about that in the book of Proverbs, the 10th chapter. If you're wicked and you're not of the Lord, you will die in the famine. But if you're righteous, the Lord will not suffer the righteous to be moved. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 10 and 3. The Lord will not suffer the soul of the righteous to famish. So that should be comfort to your soul. Not that any man knows himself to be righteous, but if you're following in these laws, there's nothing to forsake. There's nothing to really worry about. I didn't watch YouTube videos. I don't know how to make a snare. I didn't take my time, and I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Well, that may be true, and you should have, but the Most High is going to have mercy on you. I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread, like David said. But he casteth away the substance of the wicked. So if you're wicked, you're going to always be in want. You're going to always be hungry. And when David was on a hideout from Saul, what did David have to do? David have to be in the wilderness, man. Now, David wasn't just wise in his behavior and knowing how to show love and diligence in war. He also was prudent in things that how to survive in the wilderness, man. You read about that all in the book of 1 Samuel. It's 1 Samuel chapter 23 and 25. Saul also and his men went to seek him. Where did they go to seek him? In a wilderness. Said it was tracking through trees, branches, right? They were stomping right over animals. They was on the hunt, right? He had to be quiet. He's probably on all fours, right? They looking for trails and tracks. It says, and they told David whereof he came down into a rock and abode in the wilderness of Moab. And when Saul heard that, he pursued after David in the wilderness of Moab. So he had to really be in the wilderness and had to track him down. So what did David have to do? Was David in the wilderness for 6 hours? Then he came out. I'm hungry, man. Take me to the nearest shamble and meat market. When is the new moon, man? No, David had to survive in the wilderness. He had to fit into his surroundings. He had to move and navigate off of plants, berries, acorns, nuts, right? And different diverse beasts, fowls. He had to go through the dietary law, through the spirit, to be able to move and navigate, to eat, man. Right? There's no account of him just not being hungry, just on the move. Well, let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the mighty book of 1 Samuel chapter 30 and verse 10. This 1 Samuel chapter 30 and verse number 10. But David pursued, and he and 400 men, for 200 abode behind, which were so faint that they could not go over the brook Besor. So those men were tired. When you're on the move all day, you can't stop at Wendy's. You can't call your wife, I'm on my way home, make sure there's a hot plate. There is no microwave and oven, man, right? Now they had furnaces and stoves and different things like that, but we had to get that ready. It's not an easy thing of a button being pushed. And they found an Egyptian in the field and brought him to David and gave him bread, and he did eat. And they made him drink water. And they gave him a piece of cake of figs and 2 clusters of raisins. All of these are wild. Got a wild fig off of a fig tree. You have clusters, right, of raisins dried up, right? And when he had eaten, his spirit came again to him. Meaning when you eat nutrients off of these wild trees and wild plants, that's going to really give you the nutrients you need. Now you're taking the men's once a day, taking that pink damn vitamin D pill, that white vitamin C. And when you actually eat these roots that the Lord has given you, you're going to be able to sustain yourself. You're going to have energy. You're going to be strong. Don't think you need macaroni and cheese and greens all the time, huh? That stuff is slowing you down, eating away and giving you high cholesterol, making you gain weight, putting parasites in your body. It says, for he had eaten no bread and drunk any water 3 days and 3 nights. Check that out. And David said unto him, to whom belongest thou, and whence art thou? And he said, I am a young man of Egypt, servant to Amalek. My master left me because 3 days ago I fell sick. So he was just wandering around in the wilderness till David found him and fed him. Right? Let me get this quick precept in the book of Isaiah. And identifying what are clean roots and plants and what are not clean roots or plants is going to be pivotal. Because I would say, through the spirit, 85% of your food is going to be plants and roots and berries. Right? This is the mighty book of Isaiah chapter 17. And I'm going to start at verse 4. It says, and in that day it shall come to pass that the glory of Jacob shall be made thin, and the fatness of his flesh shall wax lean. And it shall be as when the harvestman gathereth the corn and reapeth the ears in his arm, and it shall be as he gathereth the ears in the valley of Rapha. I mean, it's going to be out where it's no food. Right? Jacob's going to wax lean as if the harvestman had taken all of the harvest of the field where you travel through and you're not going to be able to sustain yourself. Yet gleaning grapes shall be left in it. Meaning the Lord is going to leave something in it. As the shaking of an olive tree 2 or 3 berries in the top of the uttermost bowl. Man, it's going to be hard to eat. You damn sure ain't going to have no animal crackers, man. You're not going to have any chips and Pringles and Lay's. You'll be lucky if you do find the things that the Lord is going to leave behind by the men that know how to literally identify it and visualize it, man. It says, 4 or 5 in the uttermost fruitful branches thereof, saith the Lord God of Israel. At that day shall a man look to his maker. When you don't have anybody else to look to feed you, clothe you, give you type of drink, water, right? Nobody else is helping you survive. Then a man in those scarce times are going to look to his maker, and his eyes shall have respect to the Holy One of Israel. And he's going to finally understand that these were the days of judgment. These were the days to come. These are the days that the Heavenly Father has been spoken about over and over and over on the earth. Now I want to dive into something real fast. How to identify clean animals, right? We kind of dive into the fowls, but I kind of want to touch on as well, right, the beast of the field, right? Check this out. Now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Now I'm going to scroll down real fast. Right? To these different animals. The hippopotamus, right? The wild boar, right? The pig, right? The elk, right? The deer, right? The camel, the giraffe. You have to look at these creatures and you got to say, you know what? How do I know if they're clean or not? What do I dive into? Now, just because it split the hoof or whatever the case may be, you got to be able to dive into that. Now, looking at this right here, number 2, a lot of men may say you can eat. It's split. You know, you can dive into it. You can eat it. It's clean. But no, it's split because it has 2 toes. Toes, you can't eat toes, man. That's off. Right? So this would be like a llama or some type of creature like that. So just because it has a split doesn't mean that you can eat it. You have a lot of creatures that have split toes that you cannot eat. You have the giraffe, which has a split and a hoof and chews the cud. That's all they eat is the cud. Their necks are long, they stretch forth to eat all of the trees and the vegetation. Right? You have the pig, right? So even though it splits the hoof and it has a hoof, but it does not chew the cud. The wild boar, right? You got the elephant, 3 toes. Right? When you're looking at all of these things, you have a horse. No, a horse has a hoof, but it does not split the hoof. So as you're looking and you're on the hunt, you got to identify all of these things, man. Okay, that's clean. Okay, I can eat that. I can't eat that. Well, maybe I shouldn't go here. Maybe I should, whatever the case may be. You diving into it, right? You really making full proof. Because the days of famine are going to be on the earth, man. The days of Egypt are going to come all over again. Let me get the book of Genesis. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 47, right? And I'm going to start at verse number 18. It says, when the year was ended, they came unto the 2nd year and said unto him, well, Slaki, we would not hide it from thy Lord now that our money is spent. Meaning we can't hide this anymore. We're going broke. You're going to lose your job, more than likely. Your funds are going to run out. You may sell your house, your car. You're going to be at your wit's end. My Lord also have our herds and of cattle. There is not enough left in the sight of my Lord, but our bodies and our lands. There's nothing else I could sell. I done sold my car. I done sold my grandfather's watch. I done sold all of my substance, my keyboards, my TVs, just trying to make payments. That's how I was going to get when inflation kicks up and prices skyrocket and gas is down $10 a gallon. Cheeseburgers, $40. And things just get outrageous, man. A loaf of bread, $15. Now you're gonna be just trying to survive. It says nothing left that we could give but our bodies and our lands. Meaning for me to be a pilgrim, right, and or a slave, and give you my body that I may work for it, man. And whatever you please, that will I do. It says, therefore, shall we die before thine eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for bread, and we and our land will be servants unto Pharaoh. That's the mindset of these men at this time, because who else is going to feed me but Pharaoh? Who else is going to clothe me but Pharaoh? Who else is going to protect me but Pharaoh? Who's your modern day Pharaoh? The so-called white man. And that's the same mentality men are going to have. I mean, they're the ones with the guns. They're the ones with the shelter. They're the ones with the food. They're the ones with the water. They're the ones with everything. Let me sell all I have and put my trust in this society, and give us seed that we may live and not die, that the land be not desolate. So they're saying, you know what, look, whatever you want, I'll give it to you. And Joseph brought all the land of Egypt for Pharaoh, for the Egyptians sold every man his field, because the famine prevailed. Right? I mean, like the Lord said, man, you're not gonna be able to hold on to anything. All that prepping you may think you're doing, you either want to sell to survive like they did in ancient Egypt, or they're going to break inside of your house and steal it. There isn't no secret backpack you're going to have to be able to travel through with all your goods and everybody saying, farewell, be safe. Right? It's not going to be like that. It says, prevail over them, so the land became Pharaoh's. And as the people, he removed them to cities from one end of the border of Egypt, even to another end thereof. I mean, everybody's moving and everybody's being put in different places. Jumping down to verse 25. And they said, thou hast saved our lives. Let us find grace in the sight of my Lord, and we will be Pharaoh's servants. Check that out. Meaning, I just want to live. I just want to survive. Whatever I got to do, I'll do it, man. Don't people do it? And it's sad, and I hate saying this out loud. It's sad. But don't prostitutes do that, man? I mean, they'll do anything. And we know what that means. For something to eat, man. Because they're so broke and they're so poor on the side of the road that for $10, for $20, they're risking it all so that they may eat later on the night. They may get some clothing and a new pair of shoes, right? That they may take care of their children, or whatever the case may be. Because there's such a poverty and want that all becomes all to them, and they just up for grabs. Their whole soul and body is for sale. Just like the Egyptians were selling their body, man, their souls, just to eat. What was going on in the time, right, in the book of Judith? Right, they were selling their souls. Whenever there's a famine or persecution arising, people sell their souls. Now, a lot of people already sold their souls spiritually. Right? It's not like a signed document and you physically do it on September 12th, you sold your soul. No, your soul is either in Babylon, like it says in the book of Revelation, the 18th chapter, souls of men, or it's not. But when things hit the fan and you feel like you have no protection or help, that's what a lot of men do. They just give up and they just sell their souls. It's the book of Judith, chapter 3, and verse 2. Behold, we the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, the great king, lie before thee. Use us as shall be good in thy sight. That's off. Behold, we the servants of Nebuchadnezzar, the great king, lie before thee. What does it mean we lie before thee? Meaning use me, grab me, treat me like a napkin and a rag, whatever you want me to do. Wash your car, take out your trash, right? Be the earwax boy, you just going like this in Nebuchadnezzar's ear, right? Then he said, he go like this to the other ear, and he going like this, just for a loaf of bread, man. It said, behold, our houses and our places and all our fields of wheat and flocks and herds and all the lodges of our tents lie before thy face. Now, this isn't necessarily a famine, but what this is talking about is when a man is in power and he pushes through with authority and with the government and with power and with an army. You're either going to lie down or you're going to get put down. And these men say, look, you coming through. I know who you are, Nebuchadnezzar. My flocks are yours. My herds are yours. My lodging tents are yours. My fields are yours. and it all lies before thy face. So this goes to show you when power arises, whether it be an army, whether it be a famine, civil war, pestilence, you're a pilgrim, you cannot hold on to your goods, man. The goods are not yours. That lamp in your living room is not yours. We read the first precept, if not one of the first precepts on this lesson. The Lord says, seek if thou good things for thyself, seek them not, man. Because the Lord planted, but he will root out. Use them as it pleaseth thee. Now, let that be your mentality now. What is Jake going to say? You got me messed up, man. You're not using nothing. You're not coming in my house. Verse 4, behold, even our cities and inhabitants thereof are thy servants. Come and deal with them as it seemed good to thee. Meaning these ain't our cities no more. Basically, he's like he's a bully. He's just coming around just raping and taking stuff. And they just with it because they're scared of him. And there's nothing they could do. What do you think you're going to do when they wage war and they trample down cars with those tanks, with blow torches or fire torches? And they're in all type of black armor and infrared lights, and they're finding and seeking anywhere with body heat. You think you can hide? Your mind has to be on one or two things: the Most High or this world, and surviving, giving up, or being as these men were and saying, whatever you want, I'll do. Whatever you want to do, I'll do. I'll bow down to. Just don't kill me. Just save me alive. Just so I'll be okay. So that's the mentality of these men. But what did the men of the Lord did? Maccabeus and them. They fled into the mountains. Right, let me get that real fast in the book. Right, the first Maccabees chapter 2. It's the book of first Maccabees. Right, chapter 2. Right, and I'm going to start at verse 27. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. Meaning we're out of the city because we know what's in the city. Death is in the city for us. Right? It says, so he and his sons fled into the mountains and left all ever that they had in the city. I'm going to read that again. And left all that they had in the city. Meaning whatever that was theirs is no longer theirs anymore. Did not the Lord say, paraphrasing greatly, don't enter into your house, man. Get the hell out of there. In the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, into the roof. Did not Lot's wife look back? We got to move forward in the days to come. And whatever hurt, emotions, and past trauma, whatever the case may be that's in the world, we got to flee out of it. Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there, both they and their children. So your 5-year-old may have to be in the wilderness. Your 12-year-old, your newborn. That's gonna be hard. What's gonna really be hard is not necessarily being outside. I would say it's gonna be hard. Don't get me wrong. What's gonna be hard, because Jake, how can I say this? Jake likes to have an answer for things. Like I used the metaphor, I believe, a couple videos ago. It's not as bad waiting for the bus if you know it comes in an hour. Even though you're waiting an hour. Okay, I know it's coming in an hour. At least I know. It gives you a mental break and a mental comfort. I know it's coming in an hour. But if you don't know when it's coming, you don't know how you're going to eat day to day. You don't know what the hell to eat. You don't know what's poisonous, what's clean, if you're sinning, if you're not. The earthly tabernacle is being pressed down by your thoughts, your emotions, and the spiritual demon Satan. You have no clear indication. You don't have a Bible anymore. You're gone and everything's left behind. That's going to be the most traumatizing thing of it all. But then if you have comfort through the scriptures that give thee hope, like the Lord says, that's going to be the type of mentality that's going to comfort you in the days to come. And their wives and their cattle, because afflictions increase sore upon them. Now let me dive into this real fast. Now, these are the most common berries in North America. Right? You gotta get your eyes going over this and the words, right, to make yourself familiar with. For this last week, I've been meditating on this while I was at work, on my break, just looking at, getting a visual for my eyes to be able to look at these berries all the day long. You got Juneberry, right? Elderberry, Huckleberry, Mulberry, Bayberry, Salmonberry, Cranberry, Lingoberry, Huckleberry again, Mulberry, Strawberry, Jupiter berry, right? That's what Esau ate on in the book of Job, the 30th chapter, when he fled, right, for want and famine. So don't let Esau outdo you. Esau know what to eat, man, while he out there. Right? Blackberry, blueberry, barberry, snowberry thou shalt not eat. Anything that's yellow, white, or orange-ish, you do not eat it. If you're eating anything that's white, a white berry and a yellow berry most likely will be poisonous. So as you start to look at these berries, you got to be like, boom, color code. It should already tack thought in your mind. Boom. If it's a thorn on a berry, that's 9 times out of 10, 9.9 out of 10, it's poisonous. If it has a thorn on it, the color, and if you break the stem, if it's a white oozing or sap that comes out of the stem of the berry, it's poisonous. These are the 3 indications that you should know off the top of your head. You know what? This is a poisonous berry. I cannot eat it. You can't say, well, this is the day that I've been waiting for, right? And then you tuck in your bib. Come, little children. And everybody gathers around, man. And you start eating. White, thorns, sap, and as well as what is it? So I can bear with me. An almond smell. If you smell almonds or almond-like mildew smell upon your berries, it's poisonous. So these are the things you got to really kind of keep in your mind over and over. Repetition is very important, as you're remembering and sustaining things. It says snowberries are a droop's most widespread berry producing genera, the honeysuckle family. The berries of most of these 3 species are slightly poisonous to humans. Check that out. So you have poisonous berries, wolfberries, dewberries, and timbleberries. So out of all of these berries, we went over the clean ones, but also you have unclean berries. So out of the North America, and a lot of brothers may be, in China, a lot of brothers may be in South America watching this, Africa, most are willing, I don't want to be just one track minded going into things for North America, right, in Babylon the Great, but also that's up to you to do your due diligence upon your city, your isle, your coast, and your island, whatever the case may be, to know your berries that are within your city, your state, right, and or country. Now check this out. These are 3 indications that it is a poisonous berry. Thorns. And that's the Lord warning you through the Spirit. What are you doing grabbing a thorn, man? That's spiritual. Don't all throughout the scriptures the thorns choke the yielding fruit? Even on a physical level, and on a spiritual level. You smell it. It smells bitter. Right? Don't eat it. It's supposed to smell fresh. If it smells bitter and a tarted, tainted, sap, spine smell, you can't eat it. And a sap, like I was going into earlier, you cannot eat it once you break it to examine it. These are things you got to look at as you're looking into wild berries. Okay, you know what? I may not remember all of these berries. It's a million of them. But let me check it off. And also you want to eat one, right, to see if you get dizzy. Now, if you eat one of them and you get dizzy, then you know not to eat anymore. That's another thing I would do first. The white berries, and through yellow, as well as green, having high ratio of being a poisonous berry. I'm going to read this. Stay away from white, yellow, and green berries In most common cases, some botanists guess as high as 90% these three colors indicate poisonous berries. So even if you're not taking everything from this live, take the knowledge of the things that we're going over to visualize and mentally make a note. White, yellow, oranges, as well as green, these berries, 90% of the time, which we're not going to take the 10% as a chance, are poisonous berries. The other ones, they yield forth, a reddish color, a purplish color, right? These healthy colors, right, which are symbolic of the blood of the grape and these different things, bring forth a life. Check that out. Smash the berry to test the juice on your forearm, right? Lips or tongue. And another thing, when you taste a berry, if the berry in your mouth starts to form like a foam, then the berry is unclean or poisonous, rather. You got to spit that out immediately. But if it issues forth a juice in your mouth, then you would be able to eat it. Right? It says, know the symptoms of a poisonous berry. Nauseous, vomiting, dizzy, diarrhea, right? Sitting up there, you're getting cramps, you're getting woozy. These are the signs you got to say, well, you know what? Something ain't right. I don't know about this. These are plants to avoid. Milky, discolored sap. We just went into that. So if you're breaking a branch off of a tree, right, or a snap off of a vineyard, and you got that milky, discolored, sappy spirit, you gotta say, you know what? I can't eat this. Spines and thorns, cannot eat that. Beans, bulbs, seeds inside pods, bitter, soapy taste. I think I just touched on that. You can't eat that, man. You gotta know what tastes right. Don't wait when you put something in your mouth. Let's say you put some steak in your mouth, and you only have to see the steak. You taste it. This is not cooked, man. You spit it out because you're so adapted to eat steak all your life that you have the understanding of what it's supposed to taste like, smell like, look like. We have to get that way in a spiritual sense as the wilderness, as we look around. What are the attributes I should be looking for? I kind of know it has, the north and it blows to the south. You kind of got the south wind. The sun rises in the east, it sets in the west. And the same with the moon as it's reversing and coming into the light. It's up to the east, and as it's going down and the sun is coming up, it's going back down in the west. Even though the moon doesn't necessarily go down, but as far as its phases, as it goes and it circles around as the sun comes back up. These are the things we should know, the directions. Okay, you know what? I gotta look and see, okay, what is it? What direction am I in? How do I kind of move around this thing? So these are the things you should kind of have a mental note. Okay, if I know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, then I already know that the sun is in front of me. And I know right to the right of the sun is the south. So I should already know where the south is. Because the wind blows from the north to the south. Doesn't blow from the east to the west. So even if you don't know where the sun is or the moon is, you should be able to say, oh, you know what? That's that south wind. So if the south wind is blowing this way, then I know right in front of the south wind must be the east. So if the south wind is blowing this way, right in front of me is the east, behind me has to be the west. And if it's blowing and the south wind is coming from the north, so you should be able to kind of know somewhat of the different compass by the elements. Right? It says bitter, soapy taste, drill, carrot, parsnip, or parsley-like follicles, almond scent, or woody parts and leaves. Like, what the hell is this, man? Something don't smell right. Something not sitting right. So you got to know what to taste, what to spit out, whatever the case may be. Now check this out. These are different species of plants that we went over that we have to go over again and again and again, so your eyes visually know in the days of evil and the times of the wilderness, what to look out for. The Amaranth, right, native, right, to the Americans, right? But, you know, a lot of people use this for other things, right? Asparagus. I got wild asparagus growing everywhere. You got burdock. Now, burdock is good for healing, right? And cleansing your system. You have cattail. And when you get to necessarily like a lot of swamps and different things like that, and different watered areas, you see a lot of cattails. Cattails, you can eat cattails. You got clovers. A lot of people like, well, four-leaf clovers, and oh, this is a 3-leaf clover. You're able to eat those things. You have to highly rinse these things off. But if you don't have any water nearby, whatever the case may be, you know, you pray over it. It's sanctified by the Most High willing, and you'll be able to eat it. And a lot of these vegetables and these plants, they have water inside them. So as you're eating it, you're consuming a small percentage of water as well. Right? Chicory, so like it for the pronunciation. Chickweed, and chickweed grows everywhere. Chickweed's in your backyard as we speak. I would say 8 to 7 out of 10, depending on where you live. Chickweed is everywhere. You can eat chickweed. Curled dock, that's very popular in a lot of places. You can eat this. Dandelion, that's 80%, if not 90%, in everybody's backyard and or front yard. You can eat that. I used to blow these as kids, just blow them. Not knowing all of what we were stepping on was food. Filled pennycress, right? Fireweed, green seaweed, you cannot eat that, right? That would be classified as an unclean root, like you read about in the book of Sirach 40 and 15 all the way down. Plantain. Now, a lot of these grow up as you read about, let me see if it's all the way down here, if I can see it. Okay, it's not on this one. But this is normally what a dandelion would come out of, or a dandelion tail would come out of, is a plantain. You can eat those. Now, if you eat a cactus, you know, I would drain out the water from it. You have a parsley, you can eat that. These are very, very, right, popular in the United States. Well, vitamins and minerals. And a lot of these things are going to help you and give you energy. Sheep squirrel, right? So lucky I had a breakdown written out. And I have a lot of different plants and roots that I scribed out that's not on this list right here. I'm not sure if you're able to see this. If you are, farewell, and you can screenshot it. But if not, you know, that's okay. But if you can see this, all praise to the Most High. Right, screenshot this, kind of look at it, go into it. And all of these are in the United States. Babylon the Great. Right, kind of dive into that. Right, grass you can eat. From the garlic mustard, right, like I said, the viola sap, the wild garlic, and all of these are plants. Right, you want to study these things. The white mustard, the wood, right, sorrel. Now, this is what you should avoid. This one right here, the hemlock. This is a poisonous plant. A white, right, 5-leafed, flower-like plant that's poisonous. But you got the elderberries, right, the huckleberries, These are everywhere. Just travel through the wilderness and you'll see the diverse things. And as you go on a walk with your wife, your children, outride the bike, go for a jog, right? Go meditate in the field like Isaac, whatever the case may be, you could kind of see these things. Salmon berry, Jupiter berry. Now, a lot of this is popular, or at least where I'm from. I'm not sure what state you live in, but the Jupiter berry. You could take these berries right off this tree and eat them. Whether you got a nice little pouch, whatever the case may be, hey man, you could get down. The wild onion, the wild garlic, I believe I just quoted that. I know to our minds, it's like, well, when you traveling and you kind of looking through all of this, it's like, it's just grass. It's just a plant. You just step right on it. But in actuality, the Lord has filled the face of the earth with food. I mean, the face of the earth with food. How you think deers, squirrels, right? These different animals are able to live and adapt in the wilderness so easily and so comfortably because they're surrounded by food. They're surrounded by shelter. They're surrounded by the things because they're tapped in by their instincts, knowing how to survive because that's where they live and that's their habitation. While we're so used to our AC systems, our 8 VACs, right? Heating, ventilation, and air conditioning, right? Our refrigerators that we lack, right? That understanding. So diving into all of these right here, the sting nettle is very popular, right? The broadleaf, the sheep squirrel, these are very popular also. You can eat these. Curly dock. Got to know what's poison ivy and what's not poison ivy. I know a lot of brothers may know what poison ivy is, or sisters. Now you can eat almond nuts too. So like not almond nuts, acorn nuts. But 9 times out of 10, you want to cook them. You don't want to eat them raw. I believe they say that's kind of not wise to eat acorns raw. So lock it, bear with me. Type that in. Raw acorns, right, contain tiniest, which can be toxic to humans and cause an unpleasant bitter taste. They are also poisonous to horses, cattle, and dogs, but by leaching acorns to remove the tannin, they can be made safe for human consumption. So you gotta wash them, know how to cook them, right? Then you gotta take like a bat, shovel, whatever the case may be, you got to beat them down and you got to grind them before you eat them too. That's highly recommended. Let me see. I was reading some article and diving into it. Right, see right there, they kind of made it into like a mash or something when you eat it. So you got to know how to prepare these foods too. Right, you cook, some type of meat, some type of degree, and you could hurt yourself. You got some type of poisonous with it. Right, you don't cook it right at the right temperature, whatever the case may be, and you eat it, right, you could end up having food poisoning. It's the same way with these different nuts and these different berries that are out here. Right, pine nut, acorns. There you go, it's right here. Interestingly, the acorn was an essential food source for Native Americans. However, unlike the previous 2 tree nuts, the acorn requires preparation. Check that out. So you can't just snatch it off the tree, shake them like some M&Ms. To properly prepare an acorn, first you must crack the shell and remove the nut, then submerge it in a stream of water for a couple of days. See that? So it says, look, you should wash the heck out of this thing, man. Because that acid that's on it, and you could kind of see it by the coloration, needs to be removed. I mean, and that ain't nothing new for Jake, man. You may put some seasoning and some chicken, and you lay it in the refrigerator overnight, whatever the case may be. So that could give you a bitter taste, like you're going to. Right? Let me dive into this real fast. And we kind of went predominantly on a lot of these that are already listed, but nevertheless, to see again, get familiar with the plants and the herbs of America. Know how to survive in the wilderness. Let me get this quick precept. Let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon. Because Solomon didn't just know how to build a temple and prophecy and judgment. He also knew diverse roots, right, when you go into it, and his wisdom. Right, let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7, right? And I'm going to start at verse 17. We have given me certain knowledge of the things that are named. Who have given them certain knowledge? The Most High. The Most High isn't just giving you knowledge of second Esdras, man. Right, the 15th and the 16th chapter, the 11th and the 12th chapter. He isn't just giving you knowledge of Revelation, right, 1 all the way to 22. He's not just giving you knowledge, right, of your enemies, right, and the tactics of war. He is giving you certain knowledge, namely to know how the world was made. And brothers should know how the world was made. The world was made through Yahweh Shah Hamashiach and the angels, but it was made through matter. You read about that in Wisdom of Solomon. The operation of the elements, right? Meaning the water, right? All of the gas, the matter, the fire. These things Solomon knew, the properties. It says the beginning, ending, and midst of times. He knew how to weigh it all in a balance. The alterations, the turning of the sun, and the changing of seasons. He knew about the stars. He knew about how to understand as a compass. Right? He didn't need a compass. All he needed to be is outside. He could hear, he could feel, he could taste, he could touch, and he could be in tune with understanding what's going on. The circuits of years. Right now, I mean, we have a physical calendar on our phone. But you could kind of read, if you really in tune like Solomon, you can know the circuits of the year that you're living in. You could look at a certain tree, right? You could kind of get into this thing. And the position of stars, the nature of living creatures. That's very important too. Don't let the white man outdo you, man. Right? When he's wagging his tail, that means he's happy. But when it's going down, that means he's angry. Or when you look at this creature and he's in this position and this type of pouch and he's looking this type of way, he's about to attack. No, because they observe. They observe the creatures. The same things you should be doing. Don't mean you do it to the extreme like Esau. Right? You put that parachute on, man. Right? Jump out of a plane. Then you follow the stork around. Just follow him around with the Red Bull camera, man. You're just stalking the stork in the air. Wherever he goes, you go. That's off. He take it to the extreme in his wickedness. He'll break into a lion's den, man. Right? He'll put a damn scope right in a bear's face as he's in hibernation. We're supposed to do it in wisdom. It says, and the furies of wild beasts, the violence of winds, and the reasonings of men. Meaning spirits, demons, how to move, the balance of winds, Eurocliding, like you read about in the book of Acts 27. All of these different things, the uprises, the storms. The beasts know it. Like we always go into in the book of Job, the beasts know, right, about the vapor concerning thereof. Meaning they understand the vapor and evaporation, and they understand when it's time to go into their dens, when it's time to go north, when it's time to go south. It says, and a diverse of plants and the virtue of roots. So he knew that. He was your modern day apothecary. Before there was a Dr. Sebi, before there were all of these healing doctors and properties and TV shows and books, and he was one of the first, man. And that's a very important thing, right, that Solomon knew that he had over a lot of men. And I kind of want to show this as well. Salakia, bear with me. And this is a mighty book that brothers put brothers onto. If I could find it, all praises. If not, okay, come. I don't know if you're able to see this. This is a A book, it says, The Forager's Harvest, Edible Wild Plants, a guide to identifying, harvesting, and preparing. Check that out. So if you don't have this book, I would look into getting it. Salaki. If you could see that, all praise to the Most High. If not, I kind of said it out loud. So you should be able to kind of dive into that through the Spirit. It says, in all such things as are either secret or manifest, them I know. So Solomon knew these things. There were secrets to a lot of men. And the property of plants and roots was such a high business that you had men like David and the chief men of Judah and certain men that were over a vineyard. Right, let me get this quick precept in First Chronicles, chapter 4, right in verse 23. You had men that were over whole vineyards. This is the book of First Chronicles, chapter 4, right? And I'm going to start at verse number 23. These were the potters and those that dwelt amongst plants and hedges. So these men, where they dwelt, it wasn't in mansions. They dwelt amongst plants and hedges. There they dwelt with their king for his work. Meaning whatever the king wanted, virtues of roots, burdock, elderberry, right? Different black seed oils and pressed berries and whatever the case may be, that's where they dwelt because that's where they did their work at, man. You may have a goldsmith, he may dwell certain places, or a carpenter, he may be right around a factory, whatever the case may be, and a smith, right? He may not live too far from the plant. You had these men, these were the porters and those that dwelt amongst the plants. And we're going to dwell amongst the plants. You're going to wake up one day and you're going to be right next to your breakfast, man. You're going to roll over and you ain't going to have no bed. You're going to hear the songbirds chirping, right? And you're going to understand all of these things. Right? You're going to be identifying and teaching yourself through the things and memorizing the accounts and things that you already know. And you're going to be talking to the Most High daily. Because you ain't going to have nothing else to do but to think about the days that we're living in and dwell amongst the plants. It says, there they dwelt with the king for his work. Check that out, man. So all of the work that a king would need, they was dwelling right there. Let's go to the mighty book of First Chronicles, chapter 27. Now, how did David run his kingdom? This is First Chronicles, chapter 27, and verse number 26. And over them that did the work of the field. So David didn't just have workers that worked on smiths, right, and axes and machetes and helmets and bucklers and different things like that. He also had men that will work and over his field. He had multiple fields. He had multiple palaces and houses. Right? You read about that in First, right, Chronicles chapter 15, I believe. So David was rich. Right? He had a lot to tend to. Right? This is the book of First Chronicles 15 and 1. And David made him houses. So with multiple houses, you have what? You got grass that need to be cut, hedging, trimming, grass growing, different vegetation, and you got all of this you got to tend to. It's a lot. In the house, Salaki, in the city of David, and prepared him a place for the ark of God and pitched for it a tent. So he was sitting up there and he was over all of these wives, all of these men, all of these houses. And like any man that's over things, you have to tend to your flock, tend to your grass being cut, tend to washing the dishes if carnally you're just in a one bedroom. You got to take care of what the Most High gave. Right? Let me go back to it. It's the book of First Chronicles, right? Chapter 27, verse 26. And over them that did the work of the field for a tillage of the ground. So you had to till the ground, grow the ground, right? It says, and over the vineyards was Shimei, right? The Ramathite, over the increase of the vineyards for the wine cellars. So David was growing up all of these grapes, whether they be the green ones, or whether they be the purple ones. He had men tending to it, and that was over it to put up in wine cellars, that he may press and stomp and get that ripe grape and lay it up, man. And Sabbatai, the Zemanite, and over the olive trees. I mean, he had a man set over his olive trees. Because olive trees bring forth what? Oil, man. You need that for your beard, your skin, right? Cooking, right? To eat, to consume. And the sycamore trees that were in the lower plains was Baal Haman, the Geranite, and over the sellers of oil was Asha. Right? So all of these men that had to tend to the outside things that grew. That's how we know we're an agricultural people. We're not a people of just fried chicken and carry out, man. When we go to our history, we're outside people. We're agricultural. We're always outside, whether we're building something, we're in war, we're pilgrims. All of our fathers were pilgrims. And we're pilgrims to this very day in the spirit, traveling until we get back to our homeland, which is Jerusalem, right? Let me get this quick precept. Now, another man that slept on, that survived in the wilderness, is John the Baptist. He was one of our chief forefathers that lived outside in the wilderness. Let's go to Luke chapter 1. Let's get straight to the point. And I'm going to start at verse number 80. And the child grew and waxed strong in the spirit. Talking about what? John the Baptist. And was in the deserts to the day of his showing unto Israel. What was he doing? What's the in-depth mystery and secret? How was he surviving? Was somebody bringing him food that we don't know about? Or was he a man that knew how to survive, man? A man of wisdom, a man of understanding, a man that knew how to read the signs and the diverse beasts. He knew how to hunt. He knew how to take care of himself. It says, and the child grew and waxed strong in the spirit and was in the deserts. You know what the deserts look like, man? There's no account of him having people come feed him, man, on the Shabbat. So John the Baptist, he was outside, man. He was out there. That's why it says his meat was wild honey and locusts, because he was already used to that. He was already used to eating that wild honey off that sap. He was already used to diving into those locusts and knowing where their habitation and where they are. He knew how to feed himself. It wasn't anything new to him. People now, ew, locusts. I don't know if I could do that. I want to try it before I die. You want to try it with me? All hell's about to break loose. It is clean. Right? Making it a big deal. You get your camera out. All right, rock, paper, scissors. Who gonna eat the locust first? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Hey, John the Baptist was eating the locust, man. He was outside. He was doing his thing. He was in the deserts. Probably had sandals on. Right? He was rough, hairy man. He wasn't taking no mess from nobody. And Yahushua bigged them up. He said them that wear damn soft raiment. Let me get that real fast. Right? Let me get that real fast. Let's go to the mighty book of Matthew. So the Lord knew that John the Baptist was a hard man. This is the mighty book of Matthew, chapter 11, and I'm going to start at verse 7. And as they departed, Yahushua began to say unto the multitudes concerning John, what went ye out into the wilderness to see? Man, what do you think you're going to see if you're in the wilderness? Somebody wearing all soft clothes, speaking all soft, man, acting all soft. There weren't no band-aids in the wilderness. There wasn't the things that we have now, man. He was outside. A reed shaking in the wind. We think he's just this little branch on his tree shaking when the wind blows, man. But what went ye out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? You think he cared about his clothes to the point where it made him effeminate like these men now, man? They got ketchup on their shirt. Now their confidence is down. They don't want to be laughed at because they got creases in their Jordans. They don't have the latest shoes on. They got a scuff on their Nikes. It says, what you think you're going to see, a man in soft clothing? Behold, they that wear soft clothing are in kings' houses. and those men that wear those royal apparel. But what went ye out for to see? A prophet? Yeah, I say unto you, and more than a prophet. I mean, this man is more than what you're making him out or understanding him to be, man. On every type of level. Well, let me get the mighty book of Matthew, right? Chapter 3. Let me get that account. It's Matthew chapter 3 and verse, right, number 4. And the same John had his raiment of camel's hair. Now this camel, he had to hunt it, man. He had to make sure that he clothed himself. So he had to gut it out. These things didn't just happen. It wasn't a glowing camel vest and hair for him to array himself in, man. There's no account of that. It says, and a leather girdle. How do you get leather? Right, they had tanners in the ancient world by profession. And these men, they were tanners. Now what does a tanner do? Let me see this real fast. Yeah, Simon the Tanner. And a tanner, he deals with leather. He deals with like shoes, purses, satchels, and different things like that. It says tanners typically lived on the outskirts of town. Their trade involving stripping, soaking, and drying in hides of animals. So there was no personal tanner for John the Baptist, man. He had to go to the tanner shop for the local tanners. You had the blacksmiths, the tanners, you had the different men that make up a market in a village in a town to survive. He didn't do that, man. He got his own clothing. He gutted his own animals out, man. He survived and hunted and went to the diverse routes and ate the wild honey and dealt with the wild locusts. Right? He was outside. This written for our learning's sake. What's the point of this being written? That has nothing to really do with anything unless it's deeper in the spirit to show you something. Everything is written, like it says in the book of Romans, the 15th chapter, for our learning's sake. It says their trade involving stripping, soaking, and drying the hides of animals, which produce a notable stench. Simon lived by the Mediterranean Sea. Right? We're not going to dive too deep, into Simon the Tanner. But nevertheless, right? Let me go back to it. In Matthew, it says the same John had his raiment of camel's hair and a leather girded about his loins. And he knew how to kill diverse animals as well. And his meat was wild locusts and wild honey. So stop playing with John the Baptist, man. Right? You have people in the ancient world that had shambles and meat markets where they went to go get their food, but then you had ancient hunters, ancient tanners that knew how to trick of the trade, like your uncle, man. Your uncle may know how to fix a carburetor in a car, change a damn tire, cook, right? Whoop your grandson and get your house in order, right? Work 2 jobs, right? He was the real man, right? It says, and his meat was locusts and wild honey. I'm going to dive into that through the spirit, right? Kind of touched on the birds, touched on edible roots, clean, unclean, diversities of properties, right? Now I'm going to touch on something too. And not to be carnal, but to be wise. You have a site that's called Blaze City. The brothers don't know. If you don't know, well, now you know. Right? This site is not to wage war on Esau. This site is not to fight off Jake that you hate. This site is not to secretly fulfill your lust, but to be wise. Right? To be wise. Now, in no wise are we teaching or condoning people to kill, any violence, or anything like that, but to protect yourself. And there's nothing wrong with protecting yourself as well as your family. Right? Let me get this real fast. I'm not going to spend too long on the site, but I mean, they got a lot of very useful things that could be helpful for the household in days to come. So a lot of people may put their trust in guns, right? A lot of people may put their trust, right, in things like that, but we're going to put our trust in the Most High. But in putting our trust in the Most High, right, we have to make sure that our calling and election sure, right? Our calling and election sure by reading, praying, fasting, and being blameless. Whether we have anything or not is not going to make or break our safety nor our salvation. But if you're in the wilderness, right, you may want to have a machete, a knife, maybe gut a fish, right? A lot of women, they may not have husbands. They don't really know where to go, what to do, who to contact, whatever the case may be. So, it's a lot of resources that are out here that you got to look and dive into. All right, when you see the Book of Eli, that show, that's a good show. It's like that was a good movie. Kind of dived into. He didn't want no problems, but he protected himself. He had that sword on. He kind of whipped it out and made sure that he was still alive. I'll say that much if you haven't seen the movie. He made sure that he was still alive. That's all I'm going to say. So you want to make sure that you chop, and you may be in the wilderness, you may need to chop down certain things. I know certain brothers on the Feast of Tabernacles, they had the machetes. We took out our machetes, we kind of chopped down some wood. We kind of chopped down some things as we was tracking down the area, making sure there was no protruders, right? No evil beast, right? Or anything that shouldn't be there as we was, throughout the spirit, right? Diligently inquiring the matter, right? And making watch over our wives and children. So that's a, nice little site you want to dive into. You check out a couple of things. But once again, nor are we condoning any violence to anybody at any time. But you most definitely have to protect yourself. You have to make sure that, right, you don't give your children nor your wives up for a spoil. Right? Let me get this quick precept through the spirit. Salaki, bear with me. Right? And it reads, Then said he unto them, But now he that hath a purse, let him take it, and likewise a scrip, and he that have no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. So it was an ancient custom and thing for men to have swords. It's always girded by their side, by their sheath. Even the Lord is likened it to whetting his glittering sword, right? When you read the book of Deuteronomy. So there's nothing wrong with having a sword, right? Chiefly, to build, right? You never know, you maybe build a shelter just to prepare yourself, but not to prepare yourself for hoping, right? Because whether you have an axe, whether you have a little, knife to be able to gut a clean fish, whatever the case may be, you still want to have all your trust and all your hope in the Heavenly Father and nothing else, right? And nothing else. Right, but that's part one. Like I said, we want to do a whole series of getting yourself prepared. Whether it be, like I said, I may dive more in different websites and outlets, be able to grab a couple of things that you may want to look at from afar off, as well as what to eat, as well as where to move, directions. I may do a whole breakdown on Jacob's Trouble on how to navigate. You may not know where to go and how to go, but to read everything that the Most High has put for our learning's sake, and not for decoration, to be able to navigate through the night and the day to get to where you're going through the spirit. So that may be another breakdown, as we go through this through the spirit. But let me bring out this closing precept. It's the book of Revelation, right? Chapter 3 and verse. So I can bear with me. Chapter 3 and verse number 2. And it reads, Be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect before God. Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come in thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. So if you're not watching, and you're not making sure you're hitting that refresh button, you're not watching to make sure that you're taking care of the things that the Heavenly Father has set for you to take care of, You're reading your responsibilities, your prayer, checking on your brethren, making full proof of the ministry, right? By teaching and making your calling and election sure, magnifying the talents the Lord has given you, right? Giving arms, which I myself and all of the nation need to go harder in. If we're not doing these things to a T, to the perfection that the Lord is holding each and one of us at, the Lord can take away our candlestick, right? It says, I will come on thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. So continue to stay strong in the spirit, and Most High willingness was edifying. But I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashim HaMashiach, Malak Yahushua. Shalom.